Hello, students. As always, I'm excited to be with you in today's class. Now, today, we would like to discuss something on indices. You remember that in our previous lesson, we discussed or we took a look at an introduction to indices. A to the power 0, something like that. Yes. So, would wish to practice with some examples that will help us to gain a deep understanding of the topic before we continue with the rest. Remember that in a previous lesson we talked about some laws, 3 laws of indices: law 1, law 2, and law 3. The first one being law 1, which says yes, when A is raised to the power m and is multiplied by A raised to the power n, it is equal to A to the power m plus n. Yes, that's what we said. And law 2 also says that when we have an expression A to the power m divided by A to the power n, then that one too will be equal to A raised to the power m minus n. Then the final one, which is law 3, also states that when you have the expression A raised to the power m or raised to the power n, then it's going to be equal to A raised to the power m multiplied by n. So what we are going to do is to apply all those laws to the examples that we have on the board. So we'll pick each example one by one and then work on them by applying the laws that we've studied in the previous lesson. So if you have any problem with whatever we are discussing, all you need to do is just slide back or go back and then start anew. Take your time and then listen up through the lesson and then you would follow. So let's continue with what we are doing. So we take a look at example 1 or example I, which says 2 raised to the power 2 multiplied by the power 3. So when you look at the example on the board, very well, look at it very well. Which of the laws does that resemble? Yes, it resembles law 3. Law 3. So when you compare what you have on the board to the laws, the 3 laws that we have, we realize that it resembles law 3, which says A raised to the power m multiplied by the power n is going to be equal to A raised to the power m multiplied by n. So we apply the same idea to this particular example. So let's try that and see. So we are going to have 2 raised to the power 2 multiplied by 3. That's what law 3 says. Now, when we multiply 2 by 3, what answer do we get? We get 6, right? Yes. So we write our answer as 2 raised to the power 3. So we've been able to simplify the expression on the board. Now, let's move on to the next question. II, or question 2. Let's move on to the next question, which is II, or question 2. So with II, we have a fraction, the numerator being 4 to the power 5, 4 exponent 5, and then the denominator being 4 exponent 3, right? Okay. And again, when we observe carefully the expression we have, which of the laws does that resemble? Yes, it resembles law 2. So in a similar manner, we are supposed to apply law 2. But before we get to apply law 2, we also need to remember that 4 is a number that can further be simplified. So some might decide to straightforward apply law 2, and some might also decide to simplify 4 before going to law 2. But let's take note that 4, it's a bigger number, and especially with the bigger numbers, we simplify them first before we apply the laws. So since 4 is a number that can be simplified or further broken down, we will decide to take that path first. So 4. Now let's take a look at the number 4 and how to simplify, or yes, further break it down. So we know that we can have 2 multiplying 2 giving us 4. 2 multiplied by 2 gives us 4. And also 2 multiplied by 2 gives us 2 raised to the power 2. And since we are talking about indices, we would use 2 raised to the power 2. So instead of writing 4, we would replace 4 with 2 raised to the power 2. So we are simplifying 4 both on the numerator side and on the denominator side by replacing it with 2 raised to the power 2 on the numerator, and then 2 raised to the power 2 at the denominator side. So we are going to end up having 2 raised to the power 2 or raised to the power 5, and then 2 raised to the power 2 again, or raised to the power 3 with the denominator side. Now, this expression is clean. So when we take a look at the expression that we have on the board now, specifically, which law comes into mind? It's law 3. It's law 3. law 3 comes to mind first. So we apply law 3 here, and we know 2 will multiply 5 at the numerator side, and then 2 will multiply 3 at the denominator side. So let's write that and see. So we are going to end up having 2 multiplied by 5, which gives us 10. So we are going to have 2 raised to the power 10. And then we can have 2 multiplying 3, and that answer gives us 6. So we are going to have at the denominator side 2 raised to the power 6. Right. So with this particular expression, then we can apply law 2. Law 2, 3, 1. We can apply law 2 here because it resembles that of law 2. So how are we supposed to write our answer with regards to this particular one? So we keep 2 as a base, and then we subtract 6 from 10. So we are going to end up having 2 raised to the power 10 minus 6. So 2 raised to the power 10 minus 6. Right. So when we subtract, the answer we are going to have is 10 minus 6, and the answer we are going to have is, yes, 4. So we write that as well. We are going to have 2 now raised to the power 4. So you can clearly see that we can never put aside the laws and solve these questions. It is always a must that we apply law 1, law 2, and law 3. So that is how we would deal with the second question as well. Right. So we move on to the next question. We'll move on to the next question, which is I. 2 raised to the power 4 multiplied by 2 raised to the power 3. And you know this one is law 1, right? So 2 raised to the power 4 multiplied by 2 raised to the power 3, you know that we are going to add. So we are going to keep our base, which is 2, and then add 4 to 3. So we are going to have 2 raised to the power 4 plus 3. Now, 4 plus 3 gives us 3. 4 plus 3 gives us what answer? 4 plus 3 gives us what answer? 7. So we are going to have to the power 7. So our answer is going to be 2 raised to the power 7. Now the last example. 4 to the power 5 divided by 4 to the power 3. And when this one, when you observe it clearly, you can see 4 again. But we discussed earlier that when the numbers are bigger and we simplify, or when the numbers are bigger, we simplify them before we apply the laws. So we can have 4 being equal to 2 raised to the power 2. So we can have 2 raised to the power 2 or raised to the power 5. And then 2 raised to the power 2 again or raised to the power 3. Now, we know that when the exponents are multiplying each other, we can have 2 multiplying 5, which is applying when we are applying law 3. we can have 2 multiplying 5. And then we can also have 2 multiplying 3. So let's write that and see. So we will have when 2 multiplies 5, the answer we get is 10. And then when 2 multiplies 3, the answer we get is 6. So we can end up having 2 raised to the power 10 minus 6. And then our final answer is 2 raised to the power 4. So remember to always apply law 1, law 2, law 3 whenever necessary. If you do that, you would always improve, and then you would always be able to solve questions of this format. This is where we would end our class today. And I will encourage you guys to continue practicing more. We would meet in a later class. So bye for now.